Have you ever wondered what makes a winner at the poker table? Perhaps the movie Maverick holds some answers. Now, don't let the laughter and lighthearted banter fool you. This classic comedy from the mid-90s, starring Mel Gibson in the titular role, has more to offer than just entertainment. It's a veritable treasure trove of poker strategy, showcased through the character of Brett Maverick, a card sharp with a quick wit and an even quicker hand. Brett Maverick, the charming and roguish protagonist of the film, is a poker player par excellence. He's got the skills, the charm, and the instinct to size up his opponents and outwit them at the turn of a card. And while his adventures may be set in the Wild West, the poker strategies he employs are timeless, applicable to any game, from a high-stakes casino showdown to a friendly game in your living room. This film, while primarily a comedy, provides some serious lessons about poker strategies. From reading players instead of cards to mastering the art of bluffing and understanding the value of patience, Maverick's approach to the game is both insightful and instructive. Each hand he plays, each bet he makes reveals a new facet of his strategy, offering a masterclass in poker, disguised as a fun-filled romp through the Old West. But remember, like any good poker player, Brett Maverick keeps his cards close to his chest. His strategies are subtle, often hidden beneath layers of charm and humor, so you'll need to keep your eyes peeled and your mind sharp to catch all the lessons this film has to offer. And there's another thing to keep in mind. Maverick's strategies aren't just about winning, they're about enjoying the game, about embracing the thrill of the gamble, the camaraderie at the table, and the satisfaction of a well-played hand. Because for Brett Maverick, poker isn't just a game, it's a way of life. So grab your chips and cards and get ready to learn from the master himself, Brett Maverick. In Maverick, the cards aren't always the key to winning. This line is not just a clever quip, it's a fundamental truth about the game of poker. The real game does not lie in the cards you hold, but in how well you can read your opponents. Our protagonist, Maverick, is not just a skilled card player, he's a keen observer of human behavior. He's less interested in what the cards are saying and more focused on what his opponents are revealing through their body language, their facial expressions, their tics, and their habits. And this, folks, is where the game of poker truly becomes a psychological battlefield. Consider a typical hand. The cards are dealt and everyone's attention is drawn to their own hand, but not Maverick. His eyes are on his opponents. He's watching for those subtle signs of excitement or disappointment, the slight tremor of a hand, the brief flicker of an eye. Each of these clues tells a story, and Maverick is a master at reading these stories. But it's not just about observing, it's about understanding what these behaviors mean in the context of the game. Is the player who's suddenly very interested in their chips about to make a big bet? Is the player who's just a little too calm, trying to bluff? Maverick uses these insights to make his moves, not the cards he holds. Now you might be thinking, but what about the cards? Aren't they important? Of course they are. But in poker, the cards are just the starting point. The real game lies in the interactions between the players, in the dance of deception and insight that unfolds around the table. It's a game of psychology, as much as it is a game of chance. As we learn from our hero, the most successful poker players are not necessarily those with the best cards, but those who can best read their opponents. They're the ones who can see beyond the cards, who can read the players, not just the hands they're dealt. In the immortal words of Maverick, you gotta learn to read the people, not the cards. And that, my friends, is a lesson worth remembering. As Maverick shows us, the real game is not in the cards, but in reading the players. Maverick's poker face is something to behold, but it's his ability to bluff that truly sets him apart. In the world of poker, bluffing is a strategy as old as the game itself, but not everyone can pull it off as smoothly as our Maverick. Consider those scenes where Maverick is seemingly backed into a corner, his hand far from promising, yet his confidence never wavers. That's bluffing in action, folks. But what exactly is bluffing, you ask? Simply put, bluffing is the act of making your opponents believe that your hand is stronger than it actually is. This is achieved through a combination of confident bets, nonverbal cues, and sometimes a little bit of acting. Now you might be wondering, isn't bluffing just lying? Well, yes and no. While it involves some level of deceit, bluffing is more than just a simple lie. It's a calculated risk, a strategic move that can turn the tides of the game in your favor if executed correctly. It's a play of psychology, a game within a game, if you will, but here's the catch. Bluffing is not a one-size-fits-all strategy. What works for Maverick might not necessarily work for you. It's not just about having a poker face. It's about reading your opponents, understanding the game, and most importantly, knowing when to bluff and when to fold. Overdo it and you risk being labeled as the boy who cried wolf. Underdo it and you may miss out on opportunities to gain the upper hand. Bluffing is a delicate balance of risk and reward. It's about pushing your luck without revealing your hand. It's about playing the player, not the cards. And if there's one thing we can learn from Maverick, it's that the art of bluffing is not about fooling others, but about convincing them. So the next time you find yourself at the poker table, remember Maverick's lessons. Keep your cards close, your bets confident, and never let them see you sweat. Because in poker, just like in life, sometimes you have to bluff your way through. Bluffing is an art, and as Maverick demonstrates, mastering it can make you a formidable opponent. Maverick doesn't rush his plays. He knows that patience is a virtue in poker. One of the most critical lessons we can glean from Maverick's poker strategy is the value of patience. In the fast-paced, adrenaline-fueled world of poker, it might seem counterintuitive to take your time, but that's exactly what Maverick does. He doesn't allow the pressure of the game or the impatience of his opponents to dictate his pace. Instead, he remains calm, composed, and most importantly, patient. Throughout the movie, Maverick demonstrates how patience can be a powerful tool in poker. He doesn't rush into making his moves, rather he takes his time, assesses the situation, and makes calculated decisions. This characteristic of Maverick's gameplay is not only strategic but also very insightful. It teaches us that patience isn't just about waiting, it's about making the most out of the waiting period. It's about using that time to analyze, strategize, and plan your next move. In poker, as in life, rushing into decisions can often lead to disastrous results. Patience, on the other hand, can give you the upper hand. It allows you to keep a level head and make rational decisions, rather than getting caught up in the heat of the moment and making impulsive moves. Maverick's patience also teaches us that it's not always about being the fastest or the most aggressive player at the table. Sometimes it's about being the most patient, the most calculated, the one who can wait out the storm and make the right move at the right time. This isn't to say that patience will always guarantee a win in poker, but it can certainly increase your chances of success. After all, poker is a game of skill and strategy, not just luck. And patience, as Maverick shows us, is an integral part of that strategy. In the end, Maverick's approach to poker mirrors his approach to life. He understands that patience is not just a virtue, but a strategy, a tool, a weapon even, that can often lead to victory. As Maverick's patience shows us, good things come to those who wait. Let's take a moment to recap what Maverick has taught us about winning at poker. Maverick, a character who has become an emblem of poker strategy, has given us some invaluable insights into the game. These lessons, if incorporated into our gameplay, can significantly enhance our chances of success at the poker table. Our first lesson from Maverick was the importance of reading the players, not just the cards. Poker is a game of people, and understanding your opponent's behaviors, tells, and patterns can provide you with vital information that transcends the mere value of the cards in your hand. It's about using psychology to your advantage, to predict and respond to the moves of others. Next, we delved into the art of bluffing, a skill that Maverick mastered with finesse. Bluffing is not about deception for deception's sake, but a tactical move used to mislead your opponents into thinking your hand is stronger or weaker than it actually is. It's a powerful tool that can turn the tide in your favor, even when the odds seem stacked against you. And finally, we learned about the value of patience. Poker is a long game, not decided by a single hand. It's about waiting for the right moment to strike, holding back when necessary, and not letting the rush of the game cloud your judgment. Maverick showed us that patience, coupled with strategic thinking, is a winning combination in poker. These key strategies, reading the players, mastering the art of bluffing, and practicing patience, are the cornerstones of Maverick's poker game. They are not just tactics, but a mindset, a way of approaching the game that goes beyond the surface. Remember, poker is not just a game of chance, it's a game of skill. And as Maverick shows us, with the right strategies, you too can be a winner at the poker table.